In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to use the grid method for transferring a photograph onto a piece of paper. What you're going to need is you're going to need ruler, pencil, eraser. You're going to need the image that you're using. And I used to always print out the images and draw the grid by hand on top of the image. But I currently use an app on my phone called Grid. With Grid, I'm able to apply a grid of any size, and then I'm able to just have that image with the grid already drawn on it for me, so I only have to draw the grid onto the paper.
When using the application Grid, you want to select it on your screen, and then when it opens, you can press the camera button at the top to select a picture from your camera roll. Once that picture opens, you can change the settings to apply any size grid that you want by going to the settings option in the other corner. You can change the amount of rows, the amount of columns, the color of the grid, and you can also change the width of the grid lines, and then it applies it to your grid. To save it, just select the picture and press save.
To do the grid method for transferring an image, it's really important that you have as straight as line as possible. So you need to make sure that you're always holding your ruler in the right position so that you don't, if you don't run into the problem of having lines that are crooked, because any crooked lines are going to throw off your entire image. So now that I've created my grid, I'm going to start by drawing. I find that you can start in any square, but the key is to try to draw each square in of itself and not try to tackle the whole image. The image that I'm going to be drawing is that of one of my colleagues and friends, Miss Lair, and she's graciously allowed me to use her image. Now, what I want to do is I want to pay attention to the distance between the corners of the square and any lines that bisect it, meaning cut through that section. That helps me understand if I'm putting things in the right place. And right away I can tell that I have put this one a little too far over for where it needs to be. So I'm bringing it in just a little bit. At this point, I'm starting with her jaw and a portion of her ear. My ultimate goal with this drawing is not to actually do a fully shaded drawing, but rather to do it as a painting. So you're going to see me draw it out, and then you're going to see me erase the vast majority of it before going on towards painting. So now that I've drawn one square, that section of her earlobe and her jawline and a portion of her hair, I'm now going to move to the next square. The important thing is to work square by square to ensure that you're not trying to deal with the overall image where it's much easier to make mistakes, but just focusing on one small section at a time allows you to concentrate on what you're doing to ensure that you create the best image possible. So in this portion of the demo video, I'm going to be using gouache to paint the drawing that I've done using the grid method. I'm only using 4 colors. That's to get the skin tones that I need. I'm using white, vermilion. Well, technically I should be using cadmium red, but I can't seem to find any lately, so we're just going to go with vermilion. Yellow ochre. And a small amount of ultramarine blue. Besides my drawing and the 4 gouache colors, I also have a jar of white paint, and I'm using a variety of brushes. Alright, so as discussed while we were going over the drawing portion of this technique, we try to work square by square. That's the whole point of the grid method. By containing you to a single square at a time, it allows you to really focus. I'll be honest, when I paint, I do tend to go a little bit beyond that, but it's a starting point. So I'm going to start by mixing up a base skin tone. I really want to make sure that I hit that lightest skin tone that I need. As you can see, a very small amount of the vermilion really makes a huge difference to the yellow ochre. I'm already having quite a pink color, so I think actually I'm going to start remixing with a smaller amount to really try to aim for the color I want. Okay, so now that I have a nice sort of peachy color, I'm going to grab a chunk of white because I need to really lighten it up to get to the skin tone that I need. That is roughly the lightest skin tone in this image. It has to be quite light. Okay, so we need a great deal more white. Okay, it's getting there, but it's a little too pink. I still think I need more yellow. So back to the yellow. Well, now it's definitely too dark. So I'm gonna add in that last chunk of white. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix the yellow pinky mix that's currently my brush in with the white that does exist. So let's see. Oh, that's actually very close to what I needed. I thought that was gonna be too light. It's very close. I think I'm just gonna get just a touch of this, just to darken it just a little bit. Let's see. Okay, that's lovely. That's exactly where I wanted to go with that color. So, as I said, I want to try to start grid by grid for this painting. So I'm going to start, same as I did with my drawing, on her jawline. Now most of this section is this base skin tone, but there's a little bit of the cheekbone showing. That's going to be the lighter pink. As I've mentioned, I don't go quite perfectly grid by grid when I'm painting, mostly because I want to make sure that the colors look as even and balanced as possible, but it is a guideline so that I can get approximately the right tones that I need in my image by just focusing on smaller sections. With my eyes, I'm only looking at the square that I'm painting at any given time. Right now I'm trying to identify those lighter skin tones and get them in before I progress to the darker skin tones. So my brush is getting a little bit of the dirtier pink that's on it, so let's reload that. And once I go through these lighter colors, I will progress to increasingly darker tones as I complete the skin tone across her face.